Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Um, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know what we're doing here. It is 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
I thought when you said we were hopping on, this was going to be our Falcons Sunday night football preview. Not the. Is this a sport presentation, or are we saving the official trophy of Scarves and Spikes that Atlanta United won? The sport.
I
Oh,
guess it was one of those like, hey, you won the sport, but to get away from any of that news, let's go do something else.
uh, we'll talk about emotion over the past 24 hours, just for like the fan base. Obviously, the Brad Guzan tribute. Amazing, what they
Yep,
did. The posters that were given out, you know that that's just something that's. Yesterday was Brad's day, and we had a
100%.
feeling. I was telling my wife, I'm like, today's Brad's day. Tomorrow, I think, is Ronny Deila's day. You
Or lack
can't.
thereof.
Well, yeah, I think that announcement was going to come, and I thought it was very interesting because I've been saying this for a while. When you've been hearing Ronnie talk here for the past month and a half, a lot of it's been like, I'm the guy that get it back. I don't have a meeting with the front office. We've taken a lot of punches and all of this, and I'm thinking to myself like he's just trying to say this into existence that I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna be here, and hopefully nobody corrects me here. But it was time for a change. It was. Been saying this for a while. There is no way that you could have gone into next season with this manager and have and talk about expectations. This is a long off season. You got all of November, you've got December, then you got preseason in January, and you want them to come talk to us about their expectations of next year. I mean, I said this on Spaces yesterday. I don't want to hear expectation. I don't want to hear top four playoff spot. I just want to hear entertaining soccer and make the playoffs. That's it. You get us in the 7th seed. Okay. Don't don't set us up and say, "Oh, this is gonna be a top 4 finish." But
Yeah.
anyways, you can't tell us this for the next 3 months and still have Ronnie as the manager. So this absolutely had to happen.
Yeah, I agree. And so obviously I think at this point most people are waking up, seeing the news. It's funny, people in our Discord are hopping in and they're like, um, wow, I just woke up. What happened? Because I think if you think about it, you got home last night from the bins, right? It was an earlier game. You get home, you have your Saturday night a little earlier than normal. And most normal people go to bed and they maybe, if they're not going to church or whatever, they sleep in on Sunday. And a lot of people are just like, oh, relaxing day. I'm going to get up and enjoy my Sunday. And they're waking up to um, this news about Deila. And yeah, we'll get the chat over here. So y'all keep commenting. We were coming in hot on this one, obviously. News breaks. And if you haven't already, go check out the article over on scarvesandspikes.com. But yeah, it's like you said, it's one of those things that had to happen. It's not that you were mediocre this year to where you feel like you can do something next year. You were bad. Like Atlanta United was bad this year. There's no sugarcoating it. You're also going into the most important year in North American soccer history. And so with Atlanta being the headquarters of US Soccer, with Atlanta hosting multiple games, Kevin Egan said it on our show a couple of weeks ago. Atlanta United needs to be good. And you say it all the time. Atlanta United, when Atlanta United plays well, MLS is better overall. But in 2026, with the World Cup coming to that building, Atlanta United needs to be a playoff team. I'm not saying that they need to go win MLS Cup, like you said. I'm not saying they need to be top 4, but they should comfortably be in the playoffs in 2026.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you were the preseason uh, champions because of everybody that you signed in the window. You brought 2 DPs in, you brought a club legend back. all of this to set up these high expectations, and this happens, and you have to bring up in this conversation. I hate that it always comes up, but you have to bring it up here, and people bringing up like you had Rob Valentino here, and this was, I think a lot of people agreed at that time that it should not be Rob, right? You're looking for someone with a little bit more experience here, but when you pass on Rob, considering what he did for the club, and look, I get it. It wasn't, it was a mixed bag of results. It was very lucky they got in, they did that. But my point was is that when you decide to make that, you gotta get it right, because the fans are gonna remember what Rob did, and they're not gonna remember the regular season. The regular season that was a mixed bag. They're gonna remember the Miami games, the Montreal game, and say, "That's the Rob that we know and that we should have given a chance to." And, yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a very, very stressful or off season for Atlanta, because they've got a lot of roster changes that need to happen, a lot. There's a lot of player options you can decline. You've got you're able to cut a few players as well, and you gotta go out there, and now you gotta find a new manager. And who knows if this is the only change that you have
I'd
with
be
the
shocked.
team. I mean, there's been people calling, for scouting to change as well. I mean, that was one of the things I saw yesterday, and some things that were brought up on Spaces last night. Sorry for the late Spaces start. I mean, there needs to be changes across the board, because things just haven't been working here for a while. Now, do you hit the lottery on occasion? Absolutely. Yeah, Almada coming in. I mean, you you kinda walked into that a little bit because of the
That one
scenario
worked
that
out
he
pretty
was
well.
in. You got very lucky with that one. Giakoumakis was a great signing, and those 2 together really did a lot to get this club going. But consistently, you bring players on that they're working for a short period of time. It's not long term. You gotta look at every single thing that you have with Garth and Chris. You gotta look at everything right now and say, "This hasn't been working for a long period of time. We have not been consistent across the board, and let's figure it out." And now you have that long off season that you were expecting last year. We were expected to be done in early October. It just so happened that you snuck in there, and it just kept continuing and continuing, and that's why it felt so short. And that's maybe why a couple months ago I was freaking out as much, was because I'm like, guys, just get rid of him now. Like, we know that this isn't working. We need to start on the coaching search immediately. And then yesterday, as we're talking through it on Spaces, I'm like, well, I guess it is October 19th right now. So you have a couple weeks left of October. You've got November, you've got December here. Would I've liked them to already be out there and potentially in the middle of the search here? Absolutely. But you still have some time. But they can't take too long, because like I said, if you're going to make a bunch of roster changes here, that you have to, a lot of them are required. It's not just choosing, it's that you need to replace some guys that are on their way out. You need an idea of what you wanna play and what your coach wants to do.
I agree, and I think you kinda are in a maybe a beneficial situation, and I think when you look at the way that this whole thing has gone down since last night, it really is an extra couple of weeks of, to your point, the preseason. This is an extra couple of weeks to just kinda get a head start on preparing for 2026. You talk about when Deila was hired this time around, we always have the conversation about the search firm and having to wait and wait, and I get waiting to get the right guy or gal, whatever, but, like, I get waiting, but it's kinda precarious because, like I said, you're going into 2026 where a lot more eyes are gonna be on Atlanta. Now, are they necessarily gonna be focused on Atlanta United? No, but by proxy, you're gonna have new people seeing this team for the very first time. You wanna give whoever you bring in as much time as possible. So it wouldn't surprise me if they've already been, casting the feelers out a little bit and kinda seeing what's happening. I mean, I'm sure there are some names in mind that whether they've already approached and spoken, I don't know, but,
Or they've
it
coached Atlanta United prior.
who knows? Who knows? And but, you think about and I think, Sydney, and I'm not sure if it's out yet, but we'll go check the website in a second. He's got a kind of a tentative just who could possibly be the next Atlanta United head coach article coming out, and, you look at some names that are available. Jim Curtin's still out there. He was approached, by Atlanta and also by, what was it, New England,
Yep.
um, recently, and he turned that down. Tata Martino, he's been out of work.
Because of family issues, correct? I think he's got
Yeah,
some
yeah.
family things
Yeah,
going on.
Curtin was personal reasons, family things. Tata has been out on his sabbatical, I guess you could call it, for some time. So, I think, not for nostalgia's sake, but for the fact that he has a proven track record. And so and there's other names, but, like, the biggest thing for me is you have that page turns on December 31st when you hit 2026. That's when the urgency, I think, really hits fans, but for the club, it started last night. And so whatever the plan is, I mean, I'm not saying go rush and bring in the first guy that you feel, maybe hits the bar, but you do need to do this with a sense of urgency. And whoever it may be, get them in, get them involved, figure the culture out. Last night in his parting address, I guess we can call it now, Ronny Deila was asked, like, what needs to change, what positions, what players need to change for this team to be successful. And he said, it's only 3 or 4 pieces. And I do agree with that. I don't think there's a lot necessarily that you have to bring in. I do, though, think that you're gonna have lots of out and lots of in, but I think the cumulative change really might just be 3 positions, in my opinion. So, we'll see. It's busy, but with this is the first domino. With coaching fires, it's not one person. It rarely is one person because you gotta think, when you're a coach, you bring in your staff, everything else, and then there's the bigger issue. Brad Guzan talked about it last night. He said this club is gonna have to have some hard conversations. So, is that the scouting department? I see in the chat, and we're definitely gonna get y'all's comments here in a second. Is it the scouting department? Is it, you know, other parts of the coaching staff? Is it somewhere in the academy and the twos? I don't think so, but I think you have to put everybody under a microscope at this point. And because again, Brad said last night, we're not going to let this happen again.
I'm excited to hear the end of season press conference now that this is out because I want to hear what they have to say. Garth has been very honest with what he looks at for a manager. And one of the things he talked about last time was MLS experience or salary cap experience. Is that something that maybe this time around isn't as important?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you did that here because you really you seek yourself into your group, your net, I guess to say your net gets smaller when you have some of these things in here,
Yeah.
and I understand because there are managers that come into MLS. We've had multiple of them with Heinze and Frank that came in and like we're just upset about how that the cap system worked, that they couldn't sign certain players that they thought, and then they speak these frustrations out loud, and obviously that looks terrible on the people that hire them. Like, dude, they should know this. You know what I mean? Like they should understand what's going on here. So I want to hear what they're looking at here. What maybe they missed here, or maybe what requirement maybe did they put in that made this net too small for them to look at here? Because, like you said, this is an attractive position. You do spend a lot of money here,
Yeah.
but the worry that the fans have, and we've talked about this on the show, and people coming in the comments and talking about it, is that you've had a lot of ex-girlfriends here over the past few over the past, what, 5 years? Here,
Yeah.
you've had a lot come in, and you're getting a reputation of being toxic.
Yeah. And that's the thing. At this point, this is where you have to. Again, I'm going to go back to Brad. Brad dropped some gems last night. Um, we're good. We're about to start hitting on the chat, but no, I mean, Brad dropped some gems last night talking about the the hard conversations, the things that need to happen. But he was asked about like the last 5 years, and he's like, I mean, if I had an answer, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think Doug asked the question, but um, he said, yeah, if I had the answers, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would probably just be focused on me retiring. And I think that's what it comes down to. Like, this is the time we felt like there have been these resets over the past couple of years. You get super excited about Garth coming in. You get super excited about Chris coming in. You get everybody was excited about Dyla coming in, Miggy coming back, and like all
I
these
mean, we
things are
were
hype.
medium excited about Ronnie. I think that a lot of people were really split on him.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think out of the four I just listed for sure, I think there was maybe definitely some hesitancy, but I think people were riding that high from 2024. The playoff run and everything else, and so they were like, all right, cool, and we got the new coach in. The coach has won an MLS Cup. We can't take that away from him. Um, But ultimately, like, it didn't work out. Here we are less than a year later, and we're having this conversation. But I think this feels like the moment where it just has to be a full on blow up. I'm not saying burn the whole thing to the ground, but you really have to break up the status quo that has developed at this club over the past 5 years.
I agree. And one of the hard parts about this that I thought about on the drive home last night was not your manager is important, but your leadership. And like I hate that we've talked about leadership for so long, for so many years. But the guys that you have had since the start of this team, Parker, and I'm probably gonna miss some, so jump in and yell at me. But I mean Parkhurst, Guzan, Dax. I think Ozzy was one. I know he didn't play a lot there,
Yeah,
but, like, you have these guys that are leaders here, and look, I understand Miguel Almiron is here, and he obviously needs to step it up, and he's had the armband here, but I've always kinda got the sense that he's a silent leader. He needs to talk up when he has to, but you need that guy that's consistently a leader here, so when you bring in a new manager, and then you don't have a guy that maybe was here from the previous regime to help bring things together, that's gonna be something that you're looking for, and maybe there's a guy on the roster that we just don't know yet. Maybe there's some new guys that have come in, and we don't know too much about what they're like in the locker room, but that's gonna be just as important here, um, because I think you need that combo here. When you look at franchises and they go over a complete change like that, you need a couple guys in that locker room to be able to help keep it together. So I'm sure whoever the manager is might have some guys already in mind when he's brought on to come in and help lead that team. But you do leave a gaping hole with Brad Guzan there, and I know he hasn't played in a long time. I get it, but you've seen the rooted in the stripes videos. He was one of those guys. Absolutely. Dax was one of those guys as well. You're gonna need to find someone that's gonna be able to help that. Um, all right, let's get to some comments here because there's a lot of them, and congratulations, Omar, being the first Jim Curtin hire here, and probably having someone throw up their breakfast for reading that here. Still, a lot of people aren't overall happy with it, but yeah, Jim Curtin. Bring back Tata. Happy Sack Day. Look, we've been saying this. Like, we don't take pleasure in people getting fired here, but it's a part of the sports world here. When you don't get results, just like Chris said a couple months ago, you got to go, and that's business.
yeah.
Um,
While you pull up the next one, that's my biggest thing. Is like, I never want to see anybody get fired. I said the same thing when Gonzo was let go, when Rob was let go. I'm very happy where Rob landed. Super cool. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, man, this is definitely disrupting somebody's life, and so obviously wish Dyla the absolute best going forward. I hope he's successful where he lands. But I want Atlanta United to be very, very good again.
Do you think Wolf Nancy maybe wants to leave Columbus now that Darlington has retired? He's like, "Well, if you don't have Nagby anymore, I don't have a lot. Let's
Yeah.
I'll leave." I mean, that's the really the ultimate dream of a coach there, but no, that's probably not going to, that's not going to have it. This comment, came up yesterday on Spaces too, just wondering how the roster gets fixed. I'd rather see a team with less talent that could play cohesively, and that's absolutely it, and one of the reasons why I don't think Ronny Deila really worked here is I think good managers can still figure out how to get results from games, and he just wasn't able to do that all season long. I mean, there were a couple games that he came in, like, obviously, he had a real good plan against LAFC. I think it's the most recent one, and then the Nashville game
Yeah.
where he had some plans and how to handle it, and that's great. I was a little nervous that those results were, like, making the front office go, maybe, maybe."
I do wonder how far back this decision went. I think
5-0 Cincinnati at
I
half.
yeah, well, that was the thing. Um, that was the moment where I think a lot of us were like, "Dude, he might not make it out of the building." And then, of course, things change and, stuff happened. Anyway, I think it became very clear early on, though, that this team, if they were gonna win anything, it was gonna become it was only gonna happen because of some kind of miracle. You go back to the New York City 4-3, Daniel saying, "Can we sign Xavi?" Um, I don't know, it never felt cohesive. It never felt like the chemistry was there, and I do wanna touch on what Ariel just said, and it was yeah, Columbus. Omar saying, not Cincy, Columbus. Um, let's see if the new coach can wake up that dog in him. And I think going back to some of the other comments as well, like, you do have talent here. You have players that are capable of going and winning many, many, many more games than they won this year. I just think, we've had that conversation. We've had it last year, the year before. We've had it with every coach. Whose fault is it? And I think by default, when you go through 34 Major League Soccer games and you can count on one hand how many you actually won, it's going to go back to the coach, period. It's almost better to just tell whoever the starting 11 is to just go play the game. Don't give them any instructions. You're 11 professionals who've been playing the game for many years. Go figure it out at that point. What they did this year, it felt confusing. It felt conflicted. It never felt like it played to the team's strengths, and the results showed, right? So, um, a lot of people, kinda asking, like, as far as the roster is concerned, like, what do you do? I think, like I said, you gotta figure out your left wing for sure. Luke Brennan, he stepped in admirably. Still young, but I think you gotta figure out your left wing. You gotta figure out your right back situation, and then you gotta figure out up top, like, are your 3 DPs working? And I don't know that if you were to ask whoever is coming in, whatever coach is coming in, I don't know that you could find many coaches that would say, "Yeah, we can make that work."
I like
Go
this
get
comment. Brad Guzan's just hiding around the corner. I am now the official advisor of Atlanta United, and he's just gonna be watching.
yeah, just waiting. It's like the old ESPN commercial with, Terry Tate. That was ESPN, right?
I think
Just comes
so.
out of nowhere and just spears people. The moment the conversation gets too soft, here comes Brad. Team said new coach, Killer Mike. Um,
Arthur Blank being everywhere yesterday was, one, a class act as
yeah.
usual here. Like I've always say, talk shit about everyone else, but when you get to Uncle Arthur, there's a lot worse owners here.
Yeah.
I understand that he moves slow on things sometimes, or he trusts the people that moves too slow sometimes. I think that's it. 'Cause I don't think Arthur's calling and going, "You got to get rid of Ronny Deila today." He's not doing that. Now, maybe his son, who's invested into the team, the reason why this team is here, might have something in his ear as well. But I mean,
Yeah.
eh,
I
Arthur is dedicated, and when you saw that email was on Friday
yeah.
to all the fans,
I think so, yeah, Thursday
yeah,
or
I think
Friday.
it was Friday, and then you saw him there. It's like there's just
Yeah.
no way that he can do it. And think about the money that Atlanta United has brought in over since the beginning. Like I know ticket prices have gone up, so that obviously helps it. But like when you look at the stadium, like how empty it has been throughout the years. Never forget the Open Cup game last year.
Yeah.
The you see how empty it is. You see what did I say on Spaces yesterday? You've seen a lot of people jump off board. I mean, we've got some season ticket holders that have come on, on the Spaces and talked about it. Waffle House was, I
Yeah.
think, one of them.
Yeah, even on
Um,
here.
yeah, I mean, super dedicated guy. Been there since the beginning and was just like, why am I doing it? And there's some that stay, and that's your choice here. But when you're losing a lot of your OG fans because you have not been consistent, or you've not even given, I don't want to say consistent because this consistent is really not a good word here. I mean, you've had short periods of time where it does feel good to watch this team. But there's so many Saturday and Sunday nights and Wednesdays where you get to the 90 minutes and you just go, why did I allocate this much time of my night to watching this team or spending the money to see this team when the product has been god awful. It has been so bad. And this year, you know, you have that fifth of the season, like that month and a half where it was like you weren't getting results, but you were getting a good performance and you figured that things were going to turn around and that the goals were going to go in and all of that. That's fine. Okay. I wasn't upset during those times because I was enjoying watching this team. Okay. The results weren't there, but it was fun. Ask a lot of San Jose fans how they feel about. I mean, their team they ended up missing the playoffs, right? They were just like right outside the bubble. I think they
I
missed
believe
by
so,
like
yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
was like 2 points or whatever.
I've been this has taken over the news cycle for us for sure. But yeah, the West was a buzzsaw.
But it was close. Like, but
Yeah,
they
it
were
was
a
close.
fun team to watch. They
Yep.
attacked. Like what Ronnie Deila said when he came in is like, I'd rather this team, win 5-4 than 1-0 or whatever. We got one like 4-5 game, the New York City game. Like
Yeah.
that was well, I guess you got
Well, and
the
then the Columbus
Cincinnati
game.
game or Columbus. Yeah, I don't know why I can't keep
Dude,
these
you're in the
Ohio
wrong
teams right.
city.
Dude, I gotta wake up. But like you have not gotten that 5-4 excitement throughout the year. We've been getting 0-0 draws in DC uh that Kevin from Charlotte fell asleep at, or you've been getting these, 1-0 loss games here and it's like, man, or 3-0 losses on the road. People don't want to spend this much time watching this team. You know what I mean? And especially because they're all on Saturday night. Like, think about the Falcons. Like a lot of Sunday afternoons, people aren't doing anything anyways. They're going to allocate the time. Saturday is prime time for people and their social schedules. And we're watching these terrible performances where maybe we have a shot on target.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, and that's not an
we've had those
exaggeration.
games.
That's what's so sad about it is you have many of those games where it was like, we're not kicking the ball towards the net at all." That's a problem. Justin saying Coach Guzan. His comments last night, and I think South Georgia in the chat said it as well. And El Big OT said Goose can get his license, but Brad's comments last night, you know, take it for what it's worth. It is what it is. This is what I was going to hit on team saying. Guzan said we a lot when he was addressing the fans in the bins. This was not in the press conference. This was holding the mic, standing in the middle of the pitch, talking to everybody that's still there. And yeah, he said, "We are not going to let this happen again." And then it was kind of funny. I put it out on Twitter just because it stood out to me, and clearly it stood out to a lot of people. He gets into the press conference after Deila, and he actually came in instead of us talking to him in the locker room, sat down, and every time he would say "we," he would kind of like correct himself. And the thing is that he's been here for so long, y- it's habit for him to say "we," so it might mean nothing, but I think we can all agree that like Guzan, whether it's broadcasting, in my opinion, I think more like coaching, assistant coach, goalkeeper coach, something like that, maybe even scout. I don't know, but he belongs in this club, and I think he wants to stay with this club in some way, shape, or form. Do I know what his next move is? I do not. I will tell you that flat out. But the club will be better with him in it.
Well, you see college football players do that all the time. Like they're tied to their college. They represent. They say we all the time. And you see lifers of franchises that know that they're going to be involved, or they know that they are a part of that club. And Brad Guzan has been a part of this club practically since the beginning. Been a, I mean, you saw the videos that made you cry all week that they kept posting here, like in the community. And some people don't really understand that. They don't pay attention to a lot of these things. And Brad doesn't brag about it. The club doesn't brag about it. But what they did at that time was like, yeah, we need to give Brad all the flowers here. And you just saw how important he was to a lot of people, a lot of different parts of this organization, the unified team, all of that. Like he is this team. He has been here longer than Joseph, Miggy, all that. And that's I look, I know he wasn't playing, but I still think it's going to be a lot to replace him here in the organization because we have just talked about leadership year after year after year. And when you talk about that, and now you just look around and you look at this roster, and it's like, who is that guy? I
Yeah.
don't I don't have that answer at the moment. Maybe there is, but right now I don't know who that could be.
I mean, you hope Mihai steps in. You hope, Miggy continues because I think Miggy's kind of found his voice a little more this year of not just being the guy that goes out there and does stuff, but the guy that actually tries to help push this team in the right direction. Um, South Georgia Tommy has not thrown his fit yet. Um, I'm sure we'll get a two-part fit, one on here and then also on the Patreon. And I'm remiss if we don't mention Patreon. We know this is going to be a busy off season. So if you guys are so inclined to join the Patreon, get you access to our Discord, our watch alongs, we're gonna have lots of Patreon exclusive content going out over the off season. We're gonna be busy. Like we're not going anywhere. Our off season it does not exist. We cover the team. So y'all go join patreon.com/scarves and spikes. It helps us do what we do. So when we're super appreciative of it. Um,
There's no E at the end of my name, damn it. I
what's
actually
down to
had a
the
license printed and they screwed up and they added the E at the end of the name, and I got all the way to the car with the license, and I go, "What the hell?" And I walk back in and they're like, "Take a ticket." I'm like, "No, I'm going to the front of this line here." I'm like, "I am
uh-huh.
not an animal, damn it."
I'm not a moose. I'm a moose. um, so yeah, the wooden spork has been added. Um, South Georgia saying, Brad's post match speech sounded like he was ready to coach. I could see that. There was a comment, and y'all keep dropping the comments because this is why we're doing this. Where did it go? Oh, I'm probably gonna screw this username up, but Arpawaki, that's what we're gonna go with. Said, my money situation improved enough where I could afford MLS Pass mid-season, and the team never gave me a reason to pull the trigger. Yeah, uh, I agree. Like Apple TV plus the season pass, you're looking at what between $80 and $100 a year, maybe even a little more because I think actual regular Apple TV went up. So,
Well, I think they combine with Peacock now too. I think that was the rumor that if you get Apple TV, I think Peacock comes with it now.
oh, really?
I might have dreamt that. Don't
I don't know. I haven't heard that. We'll have to. I don't.
Tyler will pay for your Peacock if I'm lying.
No, no, no. I will not. I will not. Um, but yeah, I agree. Like, I have family members and very close friends that every time we would talk, they'd be like, "Dude, I'm about to cancel my season pass." Like, it's so painful, and it really has been. Like, it's been a struggle, and this is not anything new, but like, it just all goes back to the point of while we're having this conversation right now, and we're doing a live show at 10 o'clock in the morning because Ronnie Deila, it was time. And yeah, Omar, he was saying, according to Doug, we should be hiring the new coach quickly, so no messing with search firms. I don't. I'm under the impression that if a search firm is involved, it's not as involved as it has been in the past. Um, I would, I would expect the next few weeks to be a flurry of stuff. And I know you have thoughts on this. I'll give you mine real quick, and then I'll let you have it. But Bruno, Sam, what are y'all's thoughts on search firms? I mean, I think I don't know. I'm not in a position where I have to use a search firm, but I think um, a search firm to me sounds like a group that you use like once every like 5 years to kind of get an idea of like, all right, who is available? Like it's like you're standing there and people are handing in your resume or their resume to you. That resume isn't going to change a whole lot over a couple of years. You already have an idea. You did this last year. You already have an idea who's out there. And even if they're not available anymore, that doesn't mean that you can't have a conversation with them and try to pull them in. But you know who's out there. You know the talent. You know that Tata Martino is available. You know that as of yesterday, Ange Postecoglou is available. You know that Jim Curtin's available. You know that Vinny Sartini is available. And the search firm, I'm sure, has given you plenty last year of other candidates that still don't have jobs. So I don't think you need to go and fiddle around too much with search firms. I just think you go like this week and bring in. If it were up to me, it would be Tata because he's got the track record. But I don't
So
know.
you're Tata in?
I am, yeah, yeah. Um, I'll tell you why, really quick. There in this chat and conversations that we've seen on our website everywhere. Um, I think the other group that has gotten a lot of criticism has been the scouting department. And maybe. But no, the scouting department has got a lot of flack. And I think if you look back at when Tata was here and at every club he's been at, even the national team with Mexico, players want to come play for Tata Martino. Tata Martino is a legend, but you think he's a legend here? That man is borderline worshipped in South America. People know him. Players know him. Um, he's a Bielsa protege. Like he knows the game, and I know I'm speaking to the choir right now because we've seen what he can do here firsthand. But see, and I don't know, like Mexico, I feel like there were other factors there, but I do agree. That's the club versus national team conversation. But Miami, I mean, still won a trophy, and that at least Miami was making it into the playoffs and comfortably, right? Like what happened last year, as an Atlanta fan, I will always love that. But like at the end of the day, that's playoff football. That's playoff anything. It's any given day. So I'm not knocking him for that, but he still won a trophy in Miami. So and it wasn't the wooden spoon or spork. So yeah, Bruno, I'll bring him back. I'll bring them all back. Bring Joseph back while we're at it.
That's
Uh,
what I was gonna say. That's exactly what's gonna happen here.
I mean,
And it's
he's
either gonna go really, really, really good,
yeah.
or it's gonna go really, 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 really bad.
The thing is, Tata, again, proven track record. That's the most important thing to me. But beyond that, he he is familiar. Now, a lot of things have changed, obviously, since he was here, but he's familiar and he has a relationship with Miguel Almiron. And I mean, Miguel Almiron came to Atlanta the first time to play for Tata Martino. Um, so am I saying bring Joseph back? Not necessarily, but I am saying like you get a little bit of technical director along with head coach with Tata Martino. You get a guy who's going to bring in talent that he knows will work, and he's also going to tell you who doesn't need to be here anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true about Tata left Miami for the same reason, left ATL, no roster control. He can be very critical of things, and you found out like he did not want Pity Martinez, or was it Pity Martinez? I don't think
He didn't
uh,
want Barco.
he didn't want Barco either.
Yeah,
But I
I
think
can't
they were
remember
already
about Barco.
talking about the pity thing. I might be wrong, but yeah, I definitely remember the Barco one here, and then the end of the Miami thing was just kind of weird in general. I'm
And yeah, like
Tata curious.
Omar said
Um,
here. I mean, the thing is, Messi was going to control that team regardless. So anyway,
yeah,
carry on.
absolutely. I mean, I'm Tata curious for sure. Like, could
Tata
it work?
curious.
Yeah, like I think it could work. I said this when I was watching a couple of the LAFC podcasts that we're friends with, and they were hopping on there because they were talking. Because the rumor was a couple weeks ago that LAFC was talking. They were interested
Yep.
in Tata Martino, so it's not just Atlanta that's interested in him. LAFC, I mean, that rumor's been around here for a little bit, and I said like he's just an extra front office person, an extra scouting guy here. I mean, there's problems. I hung out with the battered herons through the Tata Martino era here, late on making some substitutions, some frustrations, not trusting some of the younger players. I think we had that here. There weren't a lot of young. I mean,
Yeah.
Miles Robinson really made his jump in after he left.
Yeah. With Frank de
Um,
Boer.
yeah, I mean, so there obviously are some things that people know of him, and obviously he can change. Damn it, I hate Bruno so much. Uh, I hate him so much. But like there's obviously a lot of is it the double Is that the way of saying it, I guess? I
Yeah.
mean, because he's gonna bring some offensive soccer here. But the question is I think a big part of the Tata teams too, though, was the cohesion amongst the team.
Yeah.
That's a very underrated part of what people don't talk about with this team, or maybe you just weren't around and you didn't understand. But the if you followed any member of this team on Instagram around the 2017-2018 season, that group was tight,
Yeah.
very tight, and it wasn't just the South Americans. It wasn't just them. It
Yep.
was the entire team. They were out all the time together. You could just tell that that team had something special, and you can feel that in sports just in general, and it's not just with soccer. It's with football, baseball, all of that. There's some teams that are just locked in together. They are the best teammates. Maybe they're not the best team on paper, but man, they've just got it, and that takes them far.
Yeah.
And you're going back into the situation that you had where now you've got another coach that they brought some players in here for that is you're going to have a different I don't know what the word it's too early.
I mean,
The
revolving door.
Yeah, but like you've just got all these guys that are still from different eras of this team here. Now a lot of that's going to change because of some of these contracts that are coming up here. But if that's what you're gonna do, then you need to start building that cohesion here. And this conversation extends to the roster. I mean, extends to everything. The DPs, that's a big question. Are you
Yeah.
coming back with all those three guys? That's something that we're obviously going to be talking about here in the next month or so. I think there's only one really that you would move out of those three. The U22 spots is going to be another conversation to have here. There's a lot that is gonna needs to be talked about here.
Yeah.
Good thing
Yeah,
we've
and
got, 10 weeks till the new year to be talking about
yeah,
this. We're gonna need to figure out some things to talk about every Wednesday.
I feel like we'll probably have I feel like we'll probably have plenty. We'll see. I mean, the thing is there's a lot that needs to be done, and that's kind of what we were alluding to earlier, and then, like Warren said, kind of what you were just saying, are we looking to a coach that'll fit the players, or are we gonna need another 2 years to build the right team for the new system? And that I've gotten on that soapbox plenty of times, like, revolving door. You even go back to 2018 going into 2019. You went from Tata soccer to Frank de Boer soccer. Frank de Boer came in and said, "I'm not gonna change too much. I'm still gonna have very attacking oriented soccer." And it was very much defensive oriented. And to his credit, it was successful. Like, they were getting results. That was Braguzan's best year in terms of the amount of clean sheets. He, tied the record. Like, there were so many good things about it, but it was not fun to watch necessarily. And then, of course, there were still so many players from those earlier years that we always remember the All-Star break and the players kinda coming out and being like, "It's just not it's not what we're it's not what we're built for." And then they come back and they they kinda start playing what they know, and it was successful. And you ended up being one kick away from back-to-back MLS Cups. So, um, that's why I think I push so hard for somebody with that proven track record like a Tata. That's why I'm more Tata in than maybe I originally thought I was, because I don't want somebody who doesn't have the mental fortitude to make a group work. And I think there are a handful of coaches out there that can come in and they're going to tell you what they want, but they're also going to understand they can't change everything and they will make work what they have. And so, I mean, it's it's a tough situation, but I do think you're gonna need a guy who has been around the block to come into this team this year because, yes, it'll be busy. Yes, a lot of players will be gone, a lot of players will be coming in, but you can't knock out, a roster of 30 in one offseason. It can't be built from the scratch like it is when you're an expansion team. So, it has to be a strong-willed individual that has that proven track record of taking a team and making it better than the sum of its parts. So, and honestly, the sum of Atlanta United's parts right now is actually pretty good, and it has not lived up to that expectation. So, we'll see. And then going back really quick, just going back to what you were saying a minute ago about the culture, like, I was talking to my wife last night, and, we were sitting there having this conversation about, like, what went wrong? What was the issue? And the one thing I've always gone back to, and this has gone back years, is exactly what you said. These players, they don't need to be best friends. They don't need to be, you know, hanging out with each other every single day. But the most that you've seen over this year and really over the past couple of years is little pockets of 2 or 3 players that you can tell they get each other. This year, it's been Ronald Hernandez and Miguel Almiron. Those are the 2 that I feel like, all right, they're tight. They know what's up. They sync up together. You can tell they talk. You can tell they hang out outside. Like, I'm not saying everybody's gonna go out to dinner 3 times a week or anything, but there has to be a relationship outside of the soccer pitch and the locker room. If you don't have that, it shows when you are on the pitch. And so, yeah, I mean, it's up to the manager. And I guess that should have been a red flag, man. Like going back to Bradenton, Florida, preseason. I'm standing there and I asked Ronny Deila, what are you doing, like, kind of like for team building stuff? Like what do you do? You're down here for a week and a half. What are you doing for the whole team to kind of, you're away from Atlanta to build that relationship with each other? It's a busy off season. Miggy had just gotten there. Latte Lath literally flew in like that day. Um, and he was like, "Well, I'm not that type of guy that's going to go and put my players out like on a mountain and tell them to fend for themselves and find their way out. But, we're going to have a dinner tonight and we've got it set up so different players sit with each other." And I'm like, I don't I mean, you're a head coach, you know more than I do about coaching, but, like, it doesn't seem like that's gonna foster much other than, like, awkward conversations. And here, fast forward, months later, I'm like, "God, I wish you woulda stuck them on a mountain and told them to fight their way off because it would have been a lot better than what we got this year." And so that's another big aspect of it, and it is underrated. It is very underrated, and I hope it changes with whoever comes in.
Maybe it's just me, but, like, there's a lot of teams out there that, like, post, like, their coaches' motivational speeches and there and for me, and I think Georgia fans know this guy, but, like, I'm a big Oregon Ducks guy, and Dan Lanning is one of those coaches out there that is gonna give you those speeches. He's got different, what's the different, topics for each week to get these guys motivated to keep going, and with Ronnie, I really haven't seen much, with him. He doesn't seem like he's, like, a fun guy, does like you said, motivator here, and I just haven't seen his team maybe just seem like they're having fun. And look, and when you're in last place or second last place this season, there's really no fun here. Um, but you just go to everything that has happened basically through this year and how you've seen good players really regress. And like I don't think we talk about that enough here because everyone yelled about Pineda with that. Just look at Saba. Which goodbye, Saba. I know I'm probably never going to see you play for this team again, and that I just it just made me realize that he's done there. But how did that guy go from what he has to this? What, one goal, one MLS goal? I
I
think it
think so.
was
Yeah.
one MLS goal, and like Pedro Amador. Look, I think he outperformed last season. I think it's safe to say he outperformed what
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
expected for sure.
Yeah, that was
But
like
the
a
expectations were
generational.
a little higher than what they were this year.
Yeah.
Was it a goal and no assists?
I believe he had an assist. I'd have to double check the stats, but I mean, either way, it was like relatively nothing, comparatively speaking. But again, to be fair, in his defense, nobody in the attack was doing anything anyway. So it's not like he had somebody up there that was actually going to get on the end of a header or the end of a cross, and do something with it. But yeah, I totally get your point. The fall off for a lot of these players has been wild, but that's why you go back to the coach.
Yeah, and the message about the gulag and I don't know if whatever, if that it was definitely okay, here you go. 1 goal, 0 assist. Well, 0 ass. Um, it was all a mess all year. I don't wanna analyze this more as I know we're going to as this continues in the next couple weeks until we get a new manager, but it was all crap. It was literally all crap. Maybe there definitely was some excitement going up until that match against New England at home. I'll keep going back to that because there's always a moment that you look at a season and you say, "When was this team broken? When did it all go downhill?" It was a beautiful afternoon in Atlanta, Georgia. You're hosting you're hosting New England. You figure you're going to win this game. But when the roof is open on an afternoon in Georgia, you know you're probably going to end up losing that game because that's what happens with this team. And Miguel Almiron scores a beautiful goal. It's offside. Next thing you know, you lose 1-0. You have like 150 shots in that game. You don't score a goal. And then they were broken. They went on the road and lost back to back 3-0 3-0 losses. And you were like, that was it. That was the moment it was broken. And you could look at Ronny Deila. I mean, Ronny Deila, when he was with New York City, he went through like an 8-game losing streak. And how was that season saved? One night in Atlanta, Georgia, Mercedes-Benz Stadium on a crazy free kick that goes in and they go and they win MLS Cup here. We were hoping that the bounce back was going to happen just like it was happening with New England there, and it just never happened.
Yeah. I mean, and I think to that point, it goes back to the culture. Like there was never that belief, I don't think. And it's it's one of those. It's really tough, right? Because we've been saying for the longest time, like it doesn't. And I think you had started a while probably before me. and Sydney and even Henry, it needs to happen. Like rip the band-aid off now because it wasn't getting any better. And I think everybody was kind of holding out for the summer transfer window to say, all right, well, maybe we get the pieces in, right? And yeah, I mean, did some things mildly improve from the summer window? Yeah, but the results didn't. The results never changed. The what matters never changed. And so I agree that I think that the morale of this team got broke months ago. And it, winning cures everything. It was always going to be tough to recover though, because I mean, you drew so many games. That was one of the things Dyla said last night. He's like, the thing is, like, we didn't get outplayed in a lot of games, and I was like, I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, you didn't find a way to win a lot of games, but you got flat out beat in a lot of games too. And so, and I mean, you can get by if you turn all those draws into to wins. You can deal with the back and forth wins and losses, but when you have that many wins and then triple that the losses and draws, like it's you're never gonna stay around. And so, and you're to the point, your players' morale is just gonna be in the dumpster.
What the hell is he talking about, though?
I
You
don't know,
scored
dude.
38 goals,
I don't.
allowed 63, minus 25 goal differential,
Yep.
and you're telling me it was close?
I I'm just the messenger.
And the Cincinnati game, or Columbus, damn it, 3 times, 3 times. Screwed this up. The Columbus game, that goal differential could have been -5. You ended up walking out with -1. So that's not even going towards it.
Yep.
You're not gaslighting me into thinking that you were close,
Nope.
because you weren't. -25. The only one that was worse was DC, -36. I even looked at the East, but there couldn't have been that. No, it wasn't even close. -24 was the worst with SKC. Congratulations to the Galaxy, though, not finishing. Uh, I'm broken because I wait for these comments all the time because Connie showed up like a couple weeks ago with this, and like you don't really think of Rich McKay when you think Atlanta United, but he is. I mean, I think they technically like threw him like, "Hey, you're not gonna be involved with the Falcons anymore, but we're gonna throw you over here." I saw Rich McKay. It was on Monday Night Football. I saw him like sitting next to Arthur Blake, and I immediately thought of Connie. And when I saw that comment, I was like, "I hope Connie's watching that game right now and just angrily typing on the internet, fire Rich McKay." What do you do, Rich McKay? I want to know what what does he do?
I mean, I don't know. That might be a Patreon episode.
Can we
Because
get Rich McKay on the
about
show?
no, well, no, about what his
Because we got to
purpose
turn the
is.
comments off because Connie's gonna get us canceled here.
See, and I will say this, first of all, Big Daddy Land, AKA, actually, no, that's not who I thought it was, but yes, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. He said, Why the F did we wait until the end of the season?" I see that's been another topic for sure. Like, why not do it sooner?
I've been saying this since like August, and I said I was gonna rant, and that was what that comment was up earlier about that. Have I missed Tommy's rant?
Yeah.
Because I said I was gonna be real upset if
Yep.
they ended up keeping him, and they waited until the exact date I said, October 19th, for here when everyone knew. And look, the reason why I said that is because other teams are firing their managers. It was like I think it was like when New England ended up letting theirs go, where I was like,
Mhm.
all right, like you're not the only player in the game, and I understand you have a bigger net, but if you are looking for an MLS coach or whatever that could become available, you need to be single. You need to update your Facebook profile as single. You can't say in a relationship right now unless you want to go and do cheaters in the background there. Like you need to announce to the world that you are single. And if you could, I mean, and like we've heard the story about managers coming to Atlanta saying that they want to interview for the position, right? Like it's not just that you're going out and trying to find people. People are going to send their resumes over. You're going to get those messages on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, I would like to come in and interview for the position." And that was just what that was, I guess, my frustration really with what the entire situation. And Bruno, yeah, absolutely. You could say it was complicated. It was more than complicated here. But like, I would have just liked them being like, yeah, we're looking right now.
Yeah, and to that point, because it's been asked a few times in the chat, I think the question being, why wait till now? The answer, the best answer I can give you is just because it was announced right now, two things. Doesn't mean it hasn't been in the works for quite some time, but more importantly, it doesn't mean that they haven't been looking for the replacement for quite some time either. If the decision was made 2 months ago, a month ago, whatever, that, all right, this is how it's gonna be, no matter what happens for the rest of the season, they went at that moment and started looking and saying, "All right, well, it's not gonna become official until whatever, October 19th, but we're not gonna wait until October 19th to start looking and asking questions and seeing who's available and who might be a good fit, blah, blah, blah." Like, when you go back to last year, with Deila when he got hired, it was clear there were conversations that were had well before any announcement. I mean, months before. That's just part of the game, and that's fine. But um, don't be discouraged because of how it was last year and the replacement with Gonzo and then Rob taking over interim for months and then finally Dyla. I don't think it's going to be that long. And the only way it isn't that long is if the conversations have already been had or at least have happening. So we'll see.
Ronnie definitely didn't know. There's just, no, I mean, he didn't know because the thing, if he did know and he kept saying the things that he was saying in these press conferences, like I'm the guy to get this done, like that wasn't for us. That was for Garth, and that was for Chris. Just continually saying like
Yeah.
I could be the guy that fixes this. And Connie put in here. I think this might be the longest comment we've ever pulled up on the show before. So should we fire Garth and Chris? And no, the answer is no. At the moment, Chris has barely had time to do anything here. It's been a very short period. Um, I don't know, and we'll get into this at some point. Like, do you think that the summer transfer window was a success? Like, they weren't going to fix everything that they can defensively. It has looked better a lot of times, and that was really what the focus was. So, besides the Columbus game, got it. The it has looked overall better here. So, if you're saying, well, they're trying to fix some things, they absolutely, I think that they did. But I think with Garth here, there is some pressure on this because this was his first manager that he hired. It was a tremendous failure. It was real bad. Now you got chance two here. And that's why Ronnie is gone here because your legacy here or your what you are going to be known for in this club is if you brought him on next year and you start 0-5, you're basically giving up another season here. It's very hard to because you're going to bring in an interim guy here to go find do another search here, and basically now you're writing off 2026, and it's just another year of saying, well, there's next year. It's next year. You're not having that now. You're bringing a new guy and saying next year is our year to hopefully get these things right. And that's why, like, I just kept saying, there's just no way that they can come with Ronnie here because there's just too much on the line for your front office here. And this
Yeah.
is new for Garth. I mean, he was a general manager for a long time, right? Or technical director, whatever. Like that's what he was. Now you are the president of this team. You have different responsibilities. You hired Chris. Okay, well, seems okay so far. But you hired Ronny Deila. That did not work out. Now you need to fix that and hope that this next guy here is the right guy. Because then if not, then they're gonna start questioning him and what he needs to do to get this right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's the thing. We've said it no matter what happened with Dyla, um, at the end of the year that there was gonna be more pressure going into next year because whoever does take over as the coach, the results have to come, but at that point, there's really no good layer of, like, there's no buffer between the coach and then the front office at that point because you can't have this happen again. Brad said it last night. We're not gonna let this happen again. Victory asked in the chat, asking us, "Was Ronnie the only problem?" No, not even a little bit. Brad said it last night. Hard conversations. There's a lot that needs to change. He also said you don't need to just change for the sake of change. And so, and I agree with that. That's why I don't think you just straight up burn the whole thing down. I think that this club has many, many, many very talented, very good individuals who they just need a culture change. They need things to be kind of upset, a table flipped, not the chicken and rice table, but a table flipped and say, all right, no, like this past 5 years, man, like it's not been great. This is the moment it has to change. This is the moment we're going to change it. And here's how we're going to do it. Come February, whatever, next year, we're going to come out swinging and we're going to look, I mean, we're going to look good in the preseason. We're going to look phenomenal in the regular season. And we're comfortably going to make the playoffs. I don't care what position, but you're comfortably going to be in the playoffs. As a club, it starts with, the bottom. So, yeah, I think it wasn't just Ronnie. And, I fully expect that you'll see a lot more changes very soon, like over the next throughout, I would say, I would imagine the next few weeks, because you got to start making not just roster decisions, but like personnel decisions as a whole. So, and then, yeah, I mean, like I see Smith in the chat, very much wanting Pogba to come here, but I think one of the things that they were saying was, you need one of these big name signings to bring Atlanta fans back. I kind of disagree. I think it would help. It'll definitely help, but I think the biggest thing is this team just needs to go win. They need to go get some wins inside the bins, and I think once you snag a few, get a winning streak, right? Get something going, and that place will start to fill back up again. And then you add
And
consistency to
style
it.
points. You need style points too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Which is again why I say I think Tata would be a good fit. We know what we're going to get out of him.
Do
It's
you
going to be
remember
fun to
how
watch.
upset people were when we were winning 1-0 games with Frank?
I know.
That's why I said a little style points,
Yeah,
looking good doing it, because a lot of those games were boring. I understand. We
yeah.
got wins though. We got a lot of wins out of it, so that was more than fine. But you need to look good doing it, and you spend that much money on your attack, and it was this bad. That's obviously an issue here. And kind of put, we aren't fair weather. We are a smart city. You give us crap, we don't show up because we are smarter than that. The thing you got to think about here with Atlanta United is, especially when they were winning, a lot of the other teams were real bad in this city. I mean, the Hawks had the 1 year. The Falcons have been trash for a while now. The Braves have been up and down for a while here, but
At
you're
least
getting
we got
to
a
a
World
time
Series out
now.
of them, though.
Well, so there's only so much money for a lot of people to spend around on all these teams. You've got everything but hockey here, which could be coming here at some point. You've got
I'm sorry.
when I saw you doing that, I'm like, there's something here. Ah, damn it. So the Hawks are on their way up. At least we think they are. I mean, they are have made a push this offseason to be better. The Falcons have been on their way up slowly. We'll see. Not overreacting to that one. Talk to me tomorrow morning after Sunday Night Football. The Braves just fired their manager or let him retire or whatever, and now they're looking for a new manager. There's a lot of teams on the up here. Why is Atlanta United the one that you are gonna that fans are gonna wanna give their money to? Here in Cleveland, a lot of people gave up on the Browns, and they gave their money to the Guardians, or they gave their money to the Cavs. The Cavs have been the sexy team here in the city. Just same thing with Atlanta. All these sports teams are fighting for your money because you can't go to every sporting event that you have. So what makes Atlanta United special to go and spend your money weekly to go to that stadium and watch the product? Right now, they've given a lot of people none, absolutely no reason to come to these games. I mean, the atmosphere is great. All right, Connie, knowing the Cleveland, that's where I was on Friday night, the Lake Erie Monsters. But you need to be able to show the fans here why it is. Why do we need 70,000 people at Mercedes-Benz Stadium? Why do you need to fill this stadium up here?
especially in 2026
Yeah,
because of the World Cup.
absolutely.
I don't know. I know this offseason is going to be wild. Fully expect it. And in a way, that's good because it generates buzz and it gets some excitement back, to the team. And the thing is, like, it's almost refreshing to be able to say, all right, it's not the same song and dance anymore. We can now turn the page. And the page is being turned actively as we speak into next year. So you have at least something to be excited about because like Brad said last night, you don't need change just for change, but you do have to have change. And in this case, it can be exciting because it's really, really, really hard to get worse than what happened in 2025. And so that you can look forward to. And I have full belief that this team will not be anywhere close to how bad it was this year. But because I think just kind of hearing things, there's a general sense of like this quote unquote reset needs to be a lot more in depth than they've ever done before. And again, I'm not saying it's going to like burn the whole place down, but I do think it'll be pretty elaborate for sure. So, and to your point, you got to have something to be excited about. You have to have a reason to go see Atlanta United over whatever other sports team happens to be playing at the time. And you have the big draw of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You have, a club legend playing there, even though it's been a rough season. You have Miguel Almiron back, the guy that gave you a cup. You have some things to be excited about, but there are a lot of things that have to change for sure.
They put a curse on us here. All the Apple people, they have these spells that they could put on us.
Rounded up in a circle around a photo of Atlanta United's crest.
In the comment here, MLS is impossible to win now. I mean, look, you've got a lot of owners now that spend money that they didn't spend years ago when Atlanta United won. I don't disagree. Like both. I mean, even the West. I know that they don't have a lot of points, but it's gonna be very competitive to get out of that West there. I mean, I still think the sexy LAFC end up making it out of that. Because it's gonna be a really cool story there. But the East, I mean, Miami's learned you can't just throw money at everything and hope that it works. You need to have a good team, or even just a team that is united there to push forward. I mean, look where the Columbus Crew now. Look, they've had injuries, and that's part of the sport there. But they've had a ton of injuries here, and they ended up I think at the 7th seed.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're playing
Yep.
Cincinnati.
Yep.
I mean, it is difficult. It is more difficult now because even like go back and look at some of the teams that we ended up playing in the playoffs. The 2019 season, like New England, I think we played New England in the playoffs there. They were okay, but we definitely were the way better team on paper. there, and I don't remember who else we ended up
Talking about
beating.
in 2019?
19, yeah.
I can't remember. That was not the New York City year, I don't think.
No, it was New York was the 2018
Yeah,
season. But we
and then
played New England, and then I don't remember after that.
eventually it was
Um
Toronto, but
Yeah, but, like, again, it's difficult to be able to do this. I mean, Philly, Cincy, I mean, just looking at these teams, like, Charlotte has been able to come in a short period of time, and they're in top 4 team. The New Yorks are always gonna be there. Look what Orlando did. Like, Orlando ended up going from one of the possible top teams to the playing game against Chicago, and they're not even hosting it.
yeah,
Yeah, I
because the
mean, the
Eastern
East
Conference
is
was insane.
absolutely. I mean, it's crazy how it ended up, finishing here, but yeah, it is not easy to win MLS Cup, before because you usually had 5 or 6 teams that were really spending and everyone else was like, "Okay, can they pull the upset here?" That's not it anymore. Any one of these teams really in the East can win. Except
Yeah,
maybe Chicago. I mean, that I don't think Chicago can do it. But everyone else I think can can win that there. And it's gonna be a dogfight. And look, I am excited when Atlanta United's not in it. I want chaos. And I think these best of 3 series that you have, and I'm sure you'll talk about it tomorrow on MLS Monday, there are some really good matchups that are here. And like if this was a good Atlanta United team in here, I wouldn't have confidence. Like, even if they were the number 1 seed, they were like, I don't have any confidence that Philadelphia is gonna be able to do this. There's
I don't
there's
either.
there's not a confident team that you're saying that you are going to win. Everyone said last year that Miami was going to win MLS Cup, and look what happened to them.
To me, the ones I'm, like, most confident in are in the Western Conference. I mean, those you have your LAFCs, your Seattles, San Diegos. Um, I put it out there last night, and I'll look. We can take the receipt all day. This is just my guess, my opinion. I think Cincinnati is the one that takes the East, and that's probably not by popular opinion. Um,
I said that too, actually.
yeah, so I mean, it's that's the thing. Like, it's really hard to say for sure in the East, like because it's any given day. You talk about Orlando, they were riding high for a while, and man, just sometimes soccer hits. Oh, in the West, Vancouver. My bad. I can't not talk about them. But yeah, it's just these are all teams that I mean, MLS. I guess in on one hand is obviously a league that 1 year can change everything. Yes, Forky. It can change everything. Um, 1 year you might be winning the wooden spoon or the spork, and the next year you might be on top. We've seen it happen, literally. We've also seen the opposite. Look at LA Galaxy last year, and then this year, how things just took such a massive downturn. But like the expectations for like the Galaxy, and at least in the first half of the season, were, hey, this is going to be tough. We have a lot of injuries, so at least you had an excuse for part of it. And then when they started getting guys back, they did admittedly start to get a little bit better. Um, with Atlanta, I agree. Like, had you made it in, I wouldn't have had much confidence at all because the team has played confused all season long. You have multiple identities that conflict with each other, and it was never clear what was supposed to be happening. And so, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know who the answer is, but I do know that the answer will likely come sooner than later, for better or worse. And it's gonna be a super busy off season.
Absolutely. Are we doing the 9 o'clock still tonight?
I don't, you know, I don't think so. Don't know that there's a need to. Well, actually, I don't know. The day is still young, so we'll see. Y'all stay tuned. Keep an eye out on the social media.
We got Falcons at 8 o'clock, man.
That's true. That's true. Um, no, y'all keep an eye out on scarvesandspikes.com. Down at the bottom, there's been a couple of links rolling by. That is the one at the bottom now is Sydney put out an article just in terms of kind of listing out potential coaches to replace Ronny Deila. And if you're joining this like super late and the title
Wait,
wasn't
Ronnie
enough,
Deila was let go?
yeah, the title wasn't enough to tell you, Ronny Deila has been let go from Atlanta United. And the team is now looking for a new head coach, and who knows what else may happen here in the coming hours, days, weeks, months. The off season has officially started for Atlanta. Y'all go join our Patreon if you are watching this or watching after the fact, whatever. Go join our Patreon. It gets you into our Discord. It gets you free shots of Forky. Of Forky.
Shots?
Shot. No, not. I don't know. I mean, we've been known to give away a shot or two. But it gets you all kinds of exclusive content. But the biggest thing, definitely our Discord. Lots of conversations in there, and we'll be doing lots of exclusive stuff in the off season as well. So if you haven't already, patreon.com/scarves and spikes, and go to our shop as well.
In Waffle House.
Ah, yes, Wednesday. Wednesday, we're going to be doing our live show, talking about whatever happens between now and then from Waffle House. So there, Connie asked in the chat, when is the Waffle House reunion? I know at least me and you and maybe Henry will all be in person in Waffle House. I'm definitely going to be inside the Waffle. I'm not doing this where I go pick it up. Like I think Gray said he might pick his up and bring it home. No, man, I'm doing this live from a booth in Waffle House.
I just hope there's reception. That's the thing I worry about.
That's
Is
true.
crappy reception.
Hotspot. I mean, because it's not like Waffle House is going to have Wi-Fi that I know
Yeah,
of.
well, yeah, obviously I'm gonna use my hotspot, but we're all gonna be like really blurry. It's gonna look like the podcast was done in 1995.
And hash browns dumped over the top of the camera. It'll be fun
I,
though. I'm excited.
I went to Waffle House last night after we went to the haunted house. That was part of the delay, but because I promised spaces at 10, I took the Waffle House and brought it into the car while I watched my family eat in the Waffle House with all my friends, and it was just like
Sitting outside and it's raining. Tommy's
I
outside
got
like pressed up
I
against
got
the
to
window.
talk about how bad this team is. I gotta go, but it's the last week of the season. I promise, guys. You get your dad back on Saturdays, like just like how Brad was like tell his family, he's like, I get to go to your games now. I'm like, I don't have Saturday spaces or anything, any responsibilities now until February.
Yep. Ah, how time flies. Had you asked me in February if I thought there was any chance of Atlanta United of Atlanta United on decision day battling to not win the Wooden Spoon, I would have laughed.
Or just not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not making the playoffs, I think was probably just the biggest shocker here, and here we are, just not in the playoffs. The one thing though, I did bring up is, this offseason is going to be long, but it might be a little bit shorter than we think. We have no idea what the MLS schedule is going to look like.
Yeah.
They might start earlier. It might not be the last weekend in February here. You got to fit stuff in, and we don't know what the plan here is for MLS. We'll
Yeah.
find out soon. We'll probably find out sooner than usual, especially
Yeah,
if
because
like
normally
because
they drop that in December, but
Mhm.
I mean, the World Cup ain't moving. That calendar is set, so you're gonna have to figure something out.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be interesting. Um, for everybody asking for Rob back, I gotta tell you, he is happy doing what he's doing now at US Soccer. So I think that
Yeah.
is one name you can pretty highly likely cut off the list.
Yeah. Probably Heinze too.
Yeah, I don't think they'll go back with Heinze. We're in a drought in Atlanta at the moment, so this is definitely not the time to bring Heinze back. Um, man, here's the thing. We could sit here because these comments are amazing. We could do this all day, but at the end of the day, like,
Charity stream, 24 hours.
yeah, let's do it. Waffle House. Um, no, it's been fun. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Sunday morning for an hour and a
And
half
all season.
and all season. Yeah,
We'll get emotional on Wednesday. I'm sure at the Waffle House where people watch go, "What the fuck is this guy doing at this booth here?" Uh, talking about it, but
with a computer, and he's crying.
yeah, I think it's important just to say, if you're joining us for the first time or you've been an OG since 3 years ago,
Yeah,
2022 when we started this, we appreciate you hanging out. Um, through the good times, there have been few good times, but there have been some good times and a lot of the bad times. We appreciate all the comments on here and just like I said, hanging out with us. We're not leaving. We know that we know that podcasts die when teams get real bad. If this is the worst we're going to be at, hopefully, then there's nowhere to go but up. Well, I guess there's technically you could be DC, but really there's just you could only go up from here, and that's the hope. And we could be talking about better times. Because man, I'm really getting sick of talking about the next season in August every
Me too.
single year.
Me too.
We're blowing up fireworks on 4th of July, thinking blowing up the entire coaching staff as well. Like that's what we end up talking about. I remember our 4th of July spaces, like multiple 4th of July spaces we've gone on, me and you, and we're
Yeah.
like, yep, it's time to change everything again. So
Yep.
yeah, we
And
appreciate you all.
yeah, we 100%. And that's the thing. We know it's tough. We know it's tough being a fan of certain sports teams at times, but like Tommy said, we appreciate y'all sticking with us, hanging out with us. Our off season doesn't really exist, so we'll be doing our Wednesday shows. We'll have our MLS Mondays. Scarvesandspikes.com is going to be hopping. If you don't, by the way, I got to give a quick shout out. Go hop in the comment section there as well. Like we have a good contingent of folks that just get on there and chat about the games and about everything else, about the news. So yeah, go to scarvesandspikes.com. That community is amazing. Patreon, all of it. It's super appreciative. But yeah, we'll have all the news coming out as it happens. So thank you guys so much. And now we turn the page. Now we get to look to 2026 officially. So who knows when the next news drop is? But we
We
might
might be
be.
back at 9. If anything else
Yeah,
happens, maybe we'll be back at 9. If not, come hang out with us tomorrow
yeah, and then
for
again on
MLS
Wednesday.
Monday, and then Wednesday for Waffle House. Dude, the Waffle House chocolate milk is so good.
It hits for sure. I'm not a big chocolate milk fan, but that stuff is good.
She brought the gallon thing over because I got a thing of chocolate milk to go, and then she came back and just had the gallon thing, just pouring it in.
That's the thing about it. It's just like it's so. I mean, they have like a fridge for like. There's no machine. It's just they went and robbed the Kroger of all of their chocolate milks and then put
Ugh.
them in their own refrigerator.
Get me to Wednesday. Get me to Wednesday.
I know, I'm
I
really
need
excited
it.
about that Wednesday episode. It's gonna be so much fun.
Oh, we get music?
I figured, why not?
Well, when you hit the music, sometimes we get muted, and
I
then no
think
one.
see, what's gonna happen in a second is gonna be, we didn't have any of this stuff ready because this
We
was
don't have to hit.
whatever. Thank you to all the Patreon members because that's normally what plays right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna try. Oh no.
Yes. Don't listen to this guy anymore.
Yeah,
He's small.
Tyler down here.
Thank you for hanging out with us all this morning. Go get your breakfast. Finish your breakfast if you haven't been doing it, and we'll I couldn't even switch this if I wanted. I don't even know what I'm doing here. But yeah, thank you. Oh, Ted Lasso.
Yeah,
All right.
appreciate